So I stopped the recording so you can get that little chunk if you actually want to just listen to that little chunk. Um, and these recordings are really, I think, helpful for kind of holding you in experience. That was a very short thing. It might have been only 5 minutes, might have been 7. I didn't actually look at our beginning. It'll show when I look at the recording at the end of this. But sometimes when you're meditating, it's really helpful to have my voice breaking in, giving instructions. It just kind of holds you in the meditation. You don't have to do it all the time. In fact, I wouldn't even encourage you to do it all the time because you become kind of dependent on it. But once in a while, it's really nice. And I find it sometimes nice when I'm distracted, when I know I'm sitting down, it's going to be hard to get my mind to settle down. It's really nice to have somebody talk you through it. In the same way, I think this kind of like just checking in with yourself might be unusual. You might not be used to it. You might just find it helpful to run that recording briefly. And of course, it's short, and you might want to do something longer. And you're welcome to do that, of course. But just that little bit, I think, will kind of just set it up for you in a way that will allow you to do it. So we have 15 minutes, and so I just invite anybody who wants to talk to go ahead, to respond, either to what I said in the talk or this exercise we just did, or any other kind of thing you just want to say tonight. It's all good. Leslie.
I just want to tell you, I love the meditation. I've never gone inside of my body as you directed us to go and to do. And wow. And I especially love the thing about the heart with every breath and the diaphragm. I've never pictured that. And it was all soft and mushy and wonderful. So thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Yeah. Decided to channel a little bit of Patty Townsend. I don't know if any of you know. I know some of you know her. She's a yoga teacher who was in Amherst for many years. She now has moved to Maine. You can still get her blog and see her on video quite easily. But yeah, she used to go right down into the tissues in a great deal of detail. My detail is really quite little compared to what Patty would do when she'd like bring you into the body. So I was channeling her a little bit. And I don't know why I haven't really done it before this way, but it just suddenly became clear to me, okay, if I'm going to teach tenderness, we need to get in there. We need to get into the soft places inside and have a better connection with, that, what's the fancy word for it? Interoception, the sense that we have of what's inside of our body, which is a little different than just touch, the pressures and things. There's an inner sense we have of our body. We need a little more of that. So anyway, happy to oblige.
Yeah.
All right. Anyone else have something to say?
I'd like to say something. That's
Susan, sure.
Yeah. When we were doing the inner body meditation and going through the inside, and when we got to the end of it, you said, find a wonderful place in your body. And my mind went, what? What? Find a wonderful place in my body? And then I thought, wow, where is that? So my mind went scanning all over my body. And then all of a sudden it was like, everywhere is a wonderful place in your body. So I just wanted to share that. Thank you for that little.
Yeah. Good. Our minds are so focused on what's wrong, and so it kind of like brings you up short to think, oh, well, what feels good? It's actually, if I can just do a little tangent here, it's actually really important because there are good feelings that arise with meditation, and being able to really step into them is part of like going deeper, really settling deeper. And one can be kind of caught on a shallower level by kind of just noticing what's wrong and just feeling, but sometimes there's subtle sensations. So like there's a feeling of buoyancy, say. There's, you might think of it as even as feeling chi, but a lot of people have no idea what that is, feeling the life energy. But there's just a kind of one can feel in certain parts of the body a lightness and ease and a buoyancy and something like you felt as a child coming back, if I'm not over talking about it. So spend some time there. I really invite you to feel the good feelings. All right. Anyone else? What do you have to say?
It's me, Anna.
Yes, Anna.
Anna and Anna.
Anna.
When I felt into a place that was feeling good, I was really feeling like all this third eye tingling. I think I have kind of like too many meditations where I find somewhere good and I just like sit there. And I'm starting to feel like it might be a dead end.
It could be if you just do that. Yeah.
I mean, I'm
It's
there and
probably
I'm
why
present, but like, okay, so I've done that for like 15 years, and then like, now what?
yeah.
So I guess I'm here being like, maybe there's, maybe I don't know. I just kind of went back to the breath because I was like, I think that's an easy way out for me. It's just like hang out where something feels good. You know what I mean?
All right. Yeah, that's completely a legitimate choice.
So
It's also why the body scan was designed to like give equal time to everywhere.
yeah,
It's like an equal time meditation. And so it helps you to not get fixated on the places that don't feel good and not get fixated on the places that feel good or ignore the places that have very little feeling. All three of those things are kind of like greed, hatred, and delusion, if I can put it that way.
yeah.
They're like
We are
wanting to
pleasure
hold on to what's
seekers. We are
good,
gonna.
wanting to, get stuck in what feels bad, it feels dukkha, and the kind of ignoring things that don't have a big impression. So that's why the body scan was designed the way it is to kind of get around that.
Beautiful.
So that's another thing along with the breath you can do.
I just want to mention two other quick things that came up for me. One is I just remember somebody like just the phrase like you were tender with your child. And it's like, oh, it's a nice moment of the day. You were like kind to a pet, you were tender with your child. It's a for well, I'll just say like it's a growing edge for me to be tender. I have two kids who like maybe didn't finish myelinating, like their sensory systems weren't done cooking when they were born. And a little bit of a thicker skin around their bodies would be good for them. They're so sensitive. It is not a good thing. And they're having to go to school. And there's so much sensory input. They're just totally flipping out. Both of them, but mainly my younger guy right now. Just everything you're saying about how difficult a school system is for these beings. It's like, I don't want to emulate where they are right now. They're so unhappy on this planet in the body they have. It's not something to try to get back to, at least in their case.
Sad, yeah. It's sad that we have to do that to ourselves and our nervous systems for survival.
Yeah. I guess I'm trying to get myself maybe to feel a little more tenderly toward them when they're misbehaving and just love them for just being
Yeah.
who they are. It helped them
Beautiful.
be a little less tender.
Or find the resilience in their tenderness. Find the resilience, the core strength. We'll talk about that. I hope. I say that because, a part of me goes, Mark, do you know that? Have you? Yeah, well enough to teach it. So anyway, it's a work in progress. All right, thanks.
Hi.
Hi, Jennifer.
I have a question. When you had us check in with ourselves and ask, how are you? And then we answer that, however we answer that, but what do we do with that? What's the next step with that? And why? I mean, are we just recognizing it for what it is? Are we wanting to change it? What are we doing with it?
Yeah, well, that's complicated, isn't it? What are you going to do with it? It depends a little bit about what you hear. I mean, you can carry it further and sort of ask that question, does something need to change? Do I need to do something differently because of what I'm discovering? That's a great next step here. You know, I find that my moods they're changing constantly. And so I sometimes find I'm in a certain state and it's like, oh my God, this got to change. It's just intolerable, whatever. And then an hour later, it's like, fine. And so you also have to balance that sense sometimes you get of urgency with that kind of adulting that says, I got to listen over a period of time before I make any conclusions about this. And I think just the sheer act of checking in, it like tells something in you that it matters. It matters how you feel.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And it's very easy to go through a day and have how you feel not matter because you're focused on what needs to get done or something else or protecting yourself in some way. And it's just a chance for your being to like talk to you honestly.
So then do you change it if you don't like it? Or do you accept it for what it is?
It would depend.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think there's a given answer to that.
Right. Okay, thank you.
It's part of wisdom. It's part of wisdom. What's the old AA prayer? You know, the Lord grant me the I'm going to blank on it here. It has something to do with the wisdom.
The serenity to accept
The
the
serenity
thing.
prayer.
Yeah, I cannot change the wisdom to Nick's not here. And the courage to
The
know the
serenity
difference.
to accept what can't be changed, the courage to change what needs to change, and the wisdom to know the
To
difference.
know the difference, right? Yeah, that's a
And
good
the reason
one.
that's a prayer is because there's no formula. There's no easy answer for it. It calls on all of our wisdom to know what we need to just sit with and accept and what we actually need to make a move on. It's not so easy. Sorry, I should really memorize that. Just be able to roll it out, you know, the serenity prayer. But all right, let's see.
Yeah, I was just have a short one that I think for me, checking in like that, you're excavating, right, and bringing to the surface like what normally is sort of buried under a lot of layers. And I suspect that you can't actually go through the world being tender unless you're in touch with that.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that's what you do with it. You go through the world in touch with that.
Yeah. Yeah. Allow it to be conscious. There's a certain kind of skill in not having it just kind of like bleed out all over the place sometimes, you know? But yeah, you can not necessarily have to harden it off the way we think that we have to function. Make that suggestion anyway. We'll have to discover if that's true. All right, we're about at the end of our time, so I'll turn you loose for the week. And the homework is to do this sort of maybe deep tissue meditation, and to do some periods of just checking in, see how that is, and see what it's like to resensitize and de-instrumentalize. I'll remind you of those words, but that's kind of what I want to send you off with, is to notice if it's possible for you to de-instrumentalize some more in your life and resensitize yourself in your environment. All right. Be well, and we'll talk next week.